Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are talking about The Batman and its very lofty box office goal. But before we dive any further into that, guys, just remember that at least one of my videos every week will not be coming to the YouTube channel. It will only be coming to my BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble channels. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you have not started following me on at least one of those three alternative sites, the links to those are down below in the description. Anyway, guys, with that out of the way, let's get into this article from Variety. Robert Pattinson's The Batman targets heroic $100 million plus box office debut. Me personally, I think that this is a very lofty goal, but we will get more into that as we go on. Bruce Wayne could be the hero the box office desperately needs. Though movie theater attendance has significantly improved compared to earlier pandemic days, overall ticket sales have been slow to get box office receipts back to pre-COVID levels. The Batman, a decidedly grim superhero action adventure, opens in domestic theaters on Friday. That would be this Friday. I believe that is March 4th. That's what it is. Yes, March 4th. And presents the best shot since Spider-Man No Way Home at getting people back to the silver screen in a big way. The comic book film starring Robert Pattinson as the Caped Crusader looks like it will be more than up to the task at hand. The Batman is targeting a huge opening weekend, somewhere between $100 and $125 million at the domestic box office. Should those estimates hold, The Batman would be only the second pandemic-era movie to cross the $100 million mark in a single weekend. The first was Sony's Spider-Man No Way Home, which debuted last December to a staggering $260 million. Given positive early reviews, some box office watchers believe $100 million is actually a conservative projection, and wouldn't be surprised if The Batman collected at least $140 million in its first 3 days of release. Anywhere around $100 million to start would mark a huge win for Warner Brothers, which is releasing The Batman after the studio opted to debut its entire 2021 theatrical film slate simultaneously on HBO Max. The Batman is the first Warner Bros. Movie in over a year to play exclusively in cinemas. With that in mind, it will be an important test of audiences' desire to watch buzzy movies on the big screen at a time when output from streaming services has never been more prolific. The Batman will arrive on HBO Max 45 days after debuting in theaters, and this is why I say it's a very lofty goal. How many people are just going to hold out for the 45 days and watch this nearly 3-hour Batman movie on HBO Max at their own discretion? You know, they can pause it whenever they want. They don't have to hold their pee in. They can go refill their popcorn anytime they want. So that's what the Batman right now has working against it, is this 45-day window. You know, this is why I'm saying it's a very lofty goal. Quote, "This is clearly an important film for the industry at large, but also for the studio, which is now turning its attention to the theatrical first release model for its films moving forward." Paul Dergarabedian, a senior media analyst with ComScore, says of Warner Brothers, "With Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore due in April, The Batman will set the stage for success for Warner Brothers for the rest of 2022 and beyond in theaters. Opening weekend ticket sales for The Batman should affirm the decision by Warner Brothers to keep the movie only in theaters. That's because it's on track to represent the studio's biggest COVID-era debut by a landslide. Over the past 12 months, when Warner's deployed its day-and-date release strategy on HBO Max, director Denis Villeneuve's Dune adaptation landed the biggest 3-day total with $41 million. Not only is The Batman expected to double that figure and then some, but it has the potential to generate more money in its opening weekend than any other Warner Brothers pandemic release made in its entire theatrical run. To date, the studio's highest-grossing movies in the last 2 years were Godzilla vs. Kong, $100 million in North America, and Dune, $109 million in North America. Other recent Warner Brothers moves, many of which hailed from popular franchises like The Matrix, with the Matrix Resurrection, which was god-awful, and you shouldn't waste your fucking time with it, and Space Jam: A New Legacy. Personally, I have no desire to watch it, so therefore I've never seen it. Fell short of expectations while they were available concurrently on digital platforms. Could it have anything to do with the fact that The Matrix Resurrection found a way to be worse than The Matrix Revolutions? You know, I never thought I would see the day where we would have a worse Matrix movie than The Matrix Revolutions. And then obviously Space Jam: A New Legacy, no one asked for another Space Jam movie. At the same time, theatrical only releases in late 2021 and 2022, such as Spider-Man No Way Home, Uncharted, and Channing Tatum's Canine Adventure Dog sold more tickets than anticipated. Aside from its exclusive theatrical release and Batman's ubiquity in popular culture, the movie should get a lift from the undeniable fact that superhero movies are all the rage. Plus, it's rated PG-13. Though director Todd Phillips' deeply disturbed 2018 film Joker became insanely profitable despite its hard R rating, restricting a movie like The Batman from audiences under the age of 17 could be the difference between tens of millions of dollars at the box office. That's a loss that no studio can afford to withstand at this time. Since the film's 3-hour runtime will limit the number of screenings per day, The Batman does not need to erect any more barriers to prevent people from buying tickets, especially since younger moviegoers have been fueling the domestic box office recovery. But the less provisional rating doesn't necessarily mean the film is for the whole family. The Batman has been called unsettling, tragic, and darker than the already dark Christopher Nolan-directed Dark Knight. The $200 million budgeted The Batman is also one of the few Hollywood movies to secure a release date in China, which is currently the world's most important movie-going market. Before the movie opens in China on March 18th, it will touch down elsewhere at the international box office starting on Friday. That would be Friday, March 4th. At the 11th hour, however, Warner Brothers pulled The Batman from release in Russia, quote, in light of the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. The decision comes as Hollywood studios at large have been debating the prospect of releasing content in Russia amid the invasion of Ukraine by Russian military forces. As far as theatrical territories, Russia is not make or break, but it has the potential to move the needle. For example, Spider-Man No Way Home generated a robust $44 million there, and Venom Let There Be Carnage made $32 million in the country, making it the second biggest market for that movie following North America. More recently, Tom Holland's video game adaptation Uncharted grossed $9 million so far in Russia. Directed by Matt Reeves, the director behind Planet of the Apes, he directed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes. I don't believe he directed Rise of the Planet of the Apes, if my memory serves correctly. The Batman is unconnected to other DC movies like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, or the upcoming The Flash or Black Adam. The story, more film noir than comic book adventure, centers on Bruce Wayne's earlier days of fighting crime. In his pursuit of justice, the youthful Dark Knight uncovers corruption in Gotham City while pursuing the maniacal killer known as the Riddler, played by Paul Dano. The star-studded cast includes Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Andy Serkis as Batman's butler Alfred Pennyworth, Colin Farrell as the crime lord known as Penguin, and Jeffrey Wright as Gotham City's police chief James Gordon. What? Sorry, not that James Gordon. We're talking Commissioner Jim Gordon, not the overweight, untalented hack from the fucking UK. Reviews have praised The Batman for feeling notably distinct from past adventures centered on Gotham's ferocious defender, like director Christopher Nolan's revered The Dark Knight trilogy, or Ben Affleck's brooding, middle-aged take on the character in Batman v Superman. At the box office, Batman has been a reliable draw. When it comes to prior iterations, Batman Begins is something of an outlier, opening to just $48 million in 2005. But the series later exploded with The Dark Knight, which debuted to $158 million in 2008, and The Dark Knight Rises, which launched to $160 million in 2012. The final two installments each grossed more than $1 billion worldwide, a milestone that only Spider-Man No Way Home has managed to crack in pandemic times. Affleck's 2016 film Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, which is not a standalone superhero adventure, opened to $166 million. So it's impressive that given the still slow to recover box office, initial projections for The Batman are not far behind those films. In Variety's review of The Batman, chief film critic Peter DeBruge singled out Reeves for doing, quote, something relatively unique here, at least by comic book movie standards. Quote, this grounded, frequently brutal, and nearly 3-hour film noir registers among the best of the genre, even if, or more aptly, because what makes the film so great is its willingness to dismantle and interrogate the very concept of superheroes, he wrote. There are many other superhero movies that have done that, just based on that review alone. I mean, Zack Snyder's Watchmen from 2009, anybody? Are you describing the Batman, or are you describing Watchmen? Because that could also aptly apply to Zack Snyder's Watchmen. No doubt Warner Brothers appreciates a good interrogation of genre tropes, but what it really loves most of all is robust box office returns. Look for the Batman to deliver on that front as well. And here is my, spicy hot take on the Batman. I don't think it's going to do as well as everyone thought. And I know I was dead fucking wrong on Uncharted. I thought Uncharted would bomb as well. But what does Uncharted have that the Batman doesn't? Uncharted has an exclusive theatrical window, right? The Batman does as well, don't get me wrong, but it only has a 45-day window. With Uncharted, it looks like it has more of a traditional theatrical window. So, how many of you guys listening to this are just going to hold out for the 45 days until it goes to HBO Max, and then like I said, you can watch the Batman at your own leisure, because holy shit, this movie is damn near 3 hours long. I don't want to go to a theater and watch a damn near 3 hour movie unless if it's good. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself in that regard. But still, I think the 45-day theatrical window is really going to kill any major box office returns before I start stumbling over myself. Just because of that, just because of the idea of how many people are just going to hold out. It didn't work for Disney's Encanto. Encanto was only in theaters for like a month, and then they made the announcement that, oh yeah, it's going to come to Disney Plus on Christmas Eve. And then Disney wondered why Encanto didn't make as much money as they were hoping for. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here before I tangent off for way too long. So if you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos. So I will just see you guys next time.